Paul Waters, local legend. What's going on, man?
Just living a dream.
Good to see you on a Sunday.
Thanks for having me.
How was church this morning?
It was good. Actually, we been doing some mapping for the Margie big race we got coming up for mountain biking.
Oh, the Margie Gessick, don't you say?
That's it.
What's that all about?
Well, this year there's a 200-mile race, and then there's a 100-mile race, which they've always had, and then there's a 50-mile race. So
Yeah. How many years have you done it now?
this is the fifth year. I've done it all four year previous years.
So it started 4 years ago.
Yep. Let's say this will be the fifth. So
And
pretty cool race.
a pretty cool race. You see this as a huge landmark, not only for us, but for guys who ride bikes all around the country. You know, people travel far and wide to come race this Margie. What makes it so special? What makes it different?
Just all the terrain we have. It's just say Jeremiah Bishkoff, who's won the last 2 years, and he's a big time pro. He said it's the hardest 1 day race in the country, and people come from all over. They think that Marquette doesn't have the whatever, and
What do you mean?
they just get humbled just because of the elevation. They don't think we have the elevation here in the UP
Yeah.
because we don't have any big huge mountains,
Right. Right.
but we have up and down, up down, up down all day long.
Right. And how do they map all that out? Like, where do they start to map all that?
Just our Danny Hill there, he's the actual legend. He's unbelievable. He does all the groundwork, lays out the course.
Yeah.
Yeah, and every year it gets harder.
Blame Danny.
Blame
Right?
Danny, exactly.
And so, is he out there alone with the shovel, or does he have a team, or what's going on?
He's and we guys help, but I mean, him and his wife Heidi have done unbelievable. I mean, Danny moves tons of rock by himself. I don't even know how he does it. And like Marquette, there's a lot of machine trails with little
Sure.
excavators, and Danny does everything pretty much by hand.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Right. Would you say that that contributes to the difference between Marquette and Ishpeming as far as like riding's concerned?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, Ishpeming trails they're they're just awesome.
So, do you feel like when you start riding Ishpeming trails, it's hard to go back to Marquette?
Well, and like Harlow Lake stuff is cool. That's pretty similar. It's
Yeah.
all natural features. Hey?
Super technical.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Big rocks and Ishpeming's got a lot of rocks, a lot of roots, just different ground. I mean, even when it's raining, the ground up there is just unbelievable.
Right.
And he just put a new trail in kind of for the Marge here. It's called Crybaby.
Yeah.
And there's not a flat spot on that whole trail. It's just cool.
That's something else. When did you start really getting into biking? When did you start going on a bike?
I mean, I, we always rode when we were kids. That's all we had for
Sure.
transportation. But then I've always done a Ortashora, so this was the 20th year for that. But a lot of times I wouldn't do a lot of riding. I just pre-ride up to the crossroads, which was 5 miles from my house, and
Right.
ride back. But then, like 10 years ago, we got snow bikes. So that put a whole new spin on it. Because then in the springtime, you'd start out and you were still in good shape, eh? Because
Yeah.
that winter ride up here is, I mean, probably the best got to be the best in lower 48
Yeah.
because of, Danny and Tyler Gothier and some of the guys that groom the trails. And then we have people that go out snowshoeing that don't have snow bikes. And we ride they're mountain bike trails that they snowshoe on.
Sure.
So they're the narrow trails that you can't get a snowmobile on.
Sure.
Then we also have a Robicon that's a two-wheel drive motorcycle,
Yeah.
and they pull a tire behind, so that can go on the regular mountain bike trails too. And that's nobody else I don't think does that. And that
Unmatched.
thing's unbelievable.
Unmatched. I see the whole thing as just an unmatched experience. But it seems like you come from, kind of a different style. Like, but biking isn't really like a recreational thing at this point. It's kind of like a lifestyle.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Like I say, I was a big Harley guy for many years, and I always rode bikes, but say then I just hooked in with these guys, and it's just so much fun, and it's so much. It's just social. You're out there, you're talking. It's just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We got a great crew of people,
Yeah.
and say the train and the weather we have here is, got to have good clothes, but
Right.
unbelievable.
Right. And you grew up in Ishpeming, like proper,
Correct.
right?
Yep.
And so, what did you take some time away? Did you step away from Ishpeming at any point, or have you pretty much resided there
Well,
your whole life?
say I started. We got big iron ore mines up here, so I started
Yeah.
there when I was an 18-year-old kid, and then layoffs hit like 4 years later. So then during that time, I kind of like bummed around. I was a repairman and welder, so I was down in Texas working welding, and then I was out in California, and then I went into service. I was in the Air Force for 4 years, which that was good experience. And then after that, I lived out in Connecticut for a year, worked in New York City quite a bit, which was totally unusual for me, but
Yeah.
just a kid from a little town.
Right.
And then I came back and the mines kicked off again. So I got back, so it's all been good. Good
And
experience.
I mean, you couldn't. You seem like you couldn't be happier working at that mine.
Oh, the mine's great. See, they pay. It's kind of dangerous and kind of dirty, but
Sure.
yeah, it's we get paid pretty good.
You don't hear
Benefits are
that.
pretty good.
You don't hear that too often.
No,
Why
I
do
just
people complain, Paul? Why do people complain?
people just love to complain. Yeah, tell me if you don't like it, you can quit. In a service you can quit, but they're gonna have you for a while before they let you quit.
Yeah, yeah.
Where there you don't have to be here if you don't want to be.
Right. Such as anything else.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
What about some bike rides? Have people ever complained on any of the bike any of the bike rides we go on?
Pretty much every bike ride we go on, somebody's complaining.
Why, man?
Again, if you don't like it, go with a different crew.
These swimming trails.
Oh, see, I was in one of the local sports shops here one day, and a guy says, "Boy, that ride we were on last night, we must have walked for 20 feet." I thought he was kidding. There's times when we walk for miles because you just can't ride. It's just bad conditions, and
Yeah.
we just keep going.
How? How do you stay positive, man? How do you keep a smile on the face?
Well, see, you just got to enjoy it all. I mean, there's times when I don't know,
You're out in the woods.
yeah, misery loves company, I guess.
Sure.
If you were by yourself, it probably wouldn't be that much fun, but
Yeah.
then we tease each other and have a lot of fun. We got a good crew and pretty tough characters that we hang around with, which is good.
Yeah, there's something about that when people come together is where you find that, even if it's tough, you're gonna build that friendship a little bit stronger each time. You build that camaraderie.
Yeah, same. We got a great crew that usually go. We pretty much hang together. And some guys try to come in and then they bail out after a while. And then after a while they don't come with us anymore, which
And
is
a lot,
good.
which is good. And a lot of times these are younger guys. You guys are veterans as far as like approaching 60, right?
I'm there. I'm at 60.
60.
Yeah.
And these guys 30, 40 years old, they kind of catch like a
I don't know if they got that. Like, say for this Margie, I don't know if they have the patience yet.
Uh-huh.
They want to go too fast and get it over with, and you'll get it over with, but you won't be done,
right,
or you'll be done and it won't be done. But
right.
however you want to say it.
So do you see this often? You see these young guys kind of come out fast and come out like, "Oh, we got this. We're gonna smoke your ass," and like they end up pushing.
Well, they get humbled pretty quick on when say Harlow Lake is big time stuff. And then there's videos on all this stuff, and it doesn't do it any justice. I mean,
Never.
it looks like you would be pedaling downhill, and some of those downhills are just scary. They're almost straight up and down.
Right. I can't imagine coming in unfamiliar with that terrain, completely blind, and running the race for the first time, just blind.
Well, say for the 100-mile Margie, if you can get it done in 12 hours, you get a belt buckle. Well, everybody figures 100 miles is 12 hours. Just give me the belt buckle, and those guys don't even make it to the ski hill and they're done.
Right. And a lot of people quit.
Well,
Is there high dropout?
yeah, 2 years ago it was the hottest day of the summer, which in the UP we don't get a lot of hot weather, but it was 95 degrees in the third week in September. And there was over 70% of people dropped out.
Would you say there's a tougher race? You heard of anything?
Well, say these guys. I mean, Tinker Juarez comes up here, and he's been on 3 Olympic teams, and I don't know how many world championships he's been to. And he missed the first year, but he's been here every year since.
Right.
And I talked to him after his first year, which was the second year's race. He said these are the best trails I've ever been on. But he's a big time pro for Cannondale, and
Yeah.
he's been sponsored, his whole life. He said, and I thought he was just blowing smoke. I said, he'll never be. He says that everywhere he goes. He said these are the best trails I've ever ridden, but it's the hardest trails I've ever ridden. And he's been all over the world.
Right.
I mean, and he could be anywhere
So that's
at any
kinda,
time.
Yeah, that's kind of your gauge to see.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that makes sense.
Because I mean, I've been out to British Columbia with a bunch of my buddies last summer. Actually, we went out there, and that was big time stuff out there. But we did fine out there.
Did you guys run the lifts?
We did at Whistler,
Sure.
which is kind of cheating, but I mean,
Yeah.
you just don't go up those hills.
I mean, come on.
And it was
Right.
fun. Yeah, 6 of us went out there, and it was a good time.
Right. That's so cool. I mean, it's cool that we have the opportunity to not only experience great trails, but get a feel for what a real trail might feel like. Did you feel out of your comfort zone going out west?
Not really. See, what we have here is pretty well prepared us.
That's
I say,
awesome.
And we have a little trailhead, and say Danny Hill and his wife Heidi built just a little wood structure, going around, and that's the only wood stuff I'd ever ridden on. And
Sure.
out there, it's, I mean, big time wood stuff, and you're
Right.
5 feet up in the air.
Launching.
And I rode a lot, most of it. I mean, there was a few things. There was like a teeter totter. You went probably 15 feet up before it dropped down.
Wow.
So that was pretty impressive. But a couple of my buddies did it.
Right. Right. So it's like we have such a unique kind of community and situation here. How have you seen it change since you've been young, since you came back? How has it changed?
Well, see, mountain biking's really taken off, and some of the trails, people just can't leave the hard stuff in. They want to get where everybody rides it, and I'm sure that gets some people. I mean, I'd wish they'd leave it alone and just leave it hard for some people, but
Yeah.
people can't help themselves, I guess.
Well,
They'll cut roots out and pry rocks out of there, and
it's too hard.
it's too hard. Yeah, get a better bike or ride more.
Right.
That should be your option.
Well, does getting a better bike even do anything for you if you're not a good rider?
No, no, it doesn't. But but you gotta ride more, hey?
Yeah, that's the answer.
Yeah, get
As
yourself into shape.
as far as like the community is concerned, in Marquette, in Negaunee, in Ishpeming, how have you seen kind of like this new boom in Marquette kind of change things as far as mountain biking is
I
concerned?
think it's better. There's a lot of money getting thrown at these trails and stuff. Like say
Right.
in Ishpeming and Negaunee has really cooperated with us, and Marquette's got a lot of stuff going on where they've south trails and north trails, and Board Light and Power has been a big help for us. We just put a bunch of bridges in down over there over the Dead River, which is, I mean, right off Wright Street and right
Yeah.
out in town, and that's just a gem. I mean, so many people hike that and bike
Yeah.
it. Right next to the river, we don't even have to groom that in the wintertime for snow biking because so many
Sure.
people walk that with their dogs and stuff, which is great.
Yeah. Where do you see all this going?
I
There's
know,
a lot of momentum at this point.
yeah, I mean, everything kind of goes in cycles. It'd be nice to see some younger kids, which actually that's where we go and start to cycle, and which is cool. Get some of those younger guys interested in that
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's a great sport. I mean, there's guys that I ride with that are mid 70s and are still excellent riders, and still in great shape.
Right. And I guess I'm thinking a little bit more as from a cultural standpoint, because you ever been in towns like Asheville or towns that have been just like maybe Aspen, things that you have these sports that surround these areas that are just like impeccable sports and impeccable conditions to do these sports. Mountain biking's kind of blowing up, and Marquette Mountain's making a lot of improvement. What do you think that'll do to the culture of the UP?
I think it, like say, I've been to Aspen on say on motorcycle trips. I went
Sure.
all over when I on my Harley went, and you just have healthier people there, and a lot of people come to Northern,
Yeah.
and they just love the area, so a lot of them stay here, try to eke out a living,
Do you see
which is
that
good.
as a positive thing for
Oh yeah,
locals?
yeah. I mean, there's nothing you can't do. Lake Superior's, I mean, an unbelievable gem. Also, I mean, it's a little cold, as you know, but kayaking is great there. Boating, fishing,
Yeah.
so many inland lakes here we have. Say just the terrain we have is, I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. Why do you think people move away?
Probably for work, lack of,
I suppose.
yeah, say I've been pretty fortunate.
I talk to a lot of locals, especially in the youth, right? Kids who are like age 12, maybe 20 years old, who just say they can't wait to leave. They just can't wait to get out of here.
Well, I kind of felt that way, I guess, when I was a kid, because you think you're missing out on, the big city stuff, big fancy bars where everybody, you get 1,000 people there, but nobody knows anybody, especially now when you got cell phones. All they do is look at their phones the whole time, and there's no interaction with people. I don't know.
Do you have a cell phone?
I got an old flip phone.
Yeah.
I'm able to make calls on my phone.
Plan to keep it that way?
I think I'm gonna have to get a little more futuristic here, but I'm fighting as long as I can.
That's a pretty good fight, man. It's 2019. You know what I mean?
Yeah, my
How-
wife and daughter keep telling me, and probably my next phone, I will have to. I just don't want to waste a lot of my time by, getting involved in Facebook and all that other stuff. Which
It's
I
a
mean,
burner.
oh yeah,
You see it.
yeah. I don't say I go to work and then I get home and I go to the gym and go biking and do a little yard work and
It sounds like a lot of discipline, Paul.
well, see,
You think you learned discipline in the military, or the mine, or what? Just had kind of ingrained, or what?
yeah, kind of ingrained, I guess, from living up here. So you gotta. Well, we get kind of bad weather, so you gotta like bad weather and mosquitoes and wood ticks if you're gonna live up here.
Yeah. It's got to be a certain kind of person
Yeah,
to
yeah,
stay and
it's
say,
not for everybody,
I
that's for
love it.
sure.
Right.
Yeah, see, and I do. Well, you just gotta have good clothes. No bad weather, just bad clothes.
I agree. Just ill preparedness. So did you actually go out? You know, you said you did some traveling. Did you get to live that lifestyle, kind of get a taste for what it was like before you ended up coming back and saying, hey, I'm gonna settle down here.
Oh yeah, I was definitely ready to come back. Like I say, I bummed around a lot, and which was a good experience. It's a journey. Life's a journey.
Right. Well, what do you think the main takeaway from that was? Being able to,
Well, so you appreciate it when you come back. Because say
yeah,
we do have cool stuff here, and our population is smaller, which is nice. I mean, driving's not so crazy. I mean, driving New York City is a little stressful, and just see those interstates out there. Like say Connecticut's super busy. Traveled all over the East Coast with my job out there when I got out of service.
sure.
Say it was a good experience.
Yeah.
I had a company car, so if you got in a wreck, it was not big of a deal.
Were you kind of crazy, Paul?
No.
No. Well, what about the people here
I think everybody's pretty friendly.
as far as the community?
Yeah, I
You
think
know?
there's some whatever crabby people everywhere, I guess, but pretty much everybody's you know
Yeah. Do you kind of believe that? Like wherever you go, it's kind of like what you put out. Those are the kind of people you're gonna run into. If
yeah.
you,
See, there's people here that are bitching all the time, but I just life's too short to
yeah,
and yeah, because we have to wear fluorescent vests at work, so I love my job at the back of my vest. So sometimes they get a little grief out of that, but I tell them don't give them the satisfaction of knowing that you're mad at your job or whatever. I hate this place. So they don't ever give the boss the satisfaction of that. Just tell them I love it and things are great.
that's gritty.
Yeah.
That's true grit. That's true grit. So you motorcycle across Canada 4 times?
I've been to Alaska 4 times. Yeah, I've been in all of Canada. I've been out to Newfoundland and Northwest Territory,
On a
all the other provinces.
Harley?
I got a Harley. Yeah. I've had a Harley since I was 19, and then I started going crazy on mountain bikes. So now I put more miles on a mountain bike than I do on Harley, which I would have never ever dreamed that. But
No.
say as you get older, you just want to kind of stay in good shape, and it certainly has helped.
You see a lot of fat guys on Harleys.
Yeah,
Yeah. Not all.
not all. No, you can't.
What made you take off across Canada? What was the impetus?
Well, Canada's just. I mean, it's right by us, eh? Actually, we're about part of
Yeah.
it, which is cool.
Right.
But all the Canadians are good. And actually, when I was in the service in Rome, but it was Rome, New York, but we had a bunch of Canadians there too. So
Yeah.
and say Canadians are cool people. Then when I worked in Connecticut, my boss was a Canadian. So they're just friendly people.
Totally.
Yeah.
I see that. And do you see do you come across any wildlife?
Oh yeah, yeah. I've hit 2 deer on Harleys, and I hit one in '81. I hit a deer, and then actually when we were going to Newfoundland, I hit a deer probably 10 years ago.
Is that the biggest kind of running you've had on a
Yeah,
Harley?
yeah.
What was that like? What
Well,
happened?
first time I was coming back from Iron Mountain, and there was 2 deer in the road. It was M95, which is a pretty notorious deer trail. Right, I was actually
Yeah.
right by Silver Lake, which is
Yeah.
a lake up there, obviously. And there was 2 deer. One of them jumped off the road. I figured the other one was going to follow. The other one jumped right in front of me. So I broke the triple tree. That's what holds your fork going down.
Yeah.
So that broke. So I was swerving all over the road, and I was holding on so tight. I knew I had to pull a clutch in, but I was just holding on with a death grip where I couldn't pull a clutch in. So I got to the side of the road, and bike tipped over. And so then some guys that I met from Crystal Falls like a week before, they stopped and helped me. So we didn't have cell phones then. I say it was 1981.
How'd you get a hold of him? Payphone?
So I went to this guy's house. Now, I mean, it was, probably midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. Guy let us in his house, called my dad up, came and got me with his truck. And so those guys waited for 2 hours to help me load my motorcycle on the truck. So that was, I mean, unbelievable. But in those days, there weren't a lot of guys on Harleys. So if somebody was on a side road, you stopped and helped them.
Right.
Now everybody, they wouldn't know how to fix them anyhow. They're just all rich guys mostly, but
What's that mean?
well, they're not going to be much help. Now they just take out their cell phone and call somebody, but who are you going to call at 1 o'clock in the morning?
No service in
Yeah,
Iron Mountain,
yeah,
Ironwood.
Yeah, right.
Right.
So that was pretty cool of those guys. Then I'd see him at bike shows down in Little Lake, and I'd always go talk to him and thank him how appreciative I was
Yeah.
of them doing that.
Sure.
That was awesome that they did that for me.
Sure. And that's something like I feel like you have the ability to kind of survive. Let's say, shit hits the fan,
Yeah.
and you're out in the wilderness for an extended period of time. I feel like you have a skill set to make it.
Oh yeah, my wife always tells me, make sure you call. I say, well, don't what happened? Because I wouldn't bring my cell phone. Eh? She says, what happens if something happens to you? Well, if something happens to me, somebody will call you. Don't worry,
Yeah,
and I will get home.
at some point. I don't know how long it will take.
Yeah.
Where did you learn? 'Cause you were in a Boy Scout.
Well, a little bit off and on. Hey, but actually, my dad was like a scout leader when we were kids, and we used to go camping and stuff. So that was fun. I mean, I still like going camping.
That's surprising to me, right? I don't know a whole lot of 6-year-old dudes who love to camp, and sleep on the ground, and sleep in hammocks. You know, where does that come from?
I just like being outside.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's nothing like it.
No, see, life is good here with it. Just quiet, see the stars, no light pollution.
Yeah,
Which we don't have a lot of that anyhow. I mean, there's a lot of like when you're going to work in the morning and you're coming home, there's a lot of desolate stretches where you can see the stars and which is pretty cool. A lot of people just don't have that.
no, it's a gem. There's it's dark up here. It's dark at night. I
Right.
think that's a rare thing. We can get lost in that dark too.
Oh yeah.
You have anything that comes to mind getting lost out in the woods?
I've been twisted up a few times, but never lost.
Where about?
Out north of the highway there, that's kind of rugged country up there.
As far as
It's just
porcupines or
no, just
Huron Mountain?
Huron Mountains, say up by Big Bay,
Yeah.
up between Skaney is kind of on the far east of the peninsula there, and
Yeah.
between Big Bay and Skaney, there's some
So there's a highway that actually runs from Big Bay to Skaney and Lawrence,
Right.
right?
Yep.
What's the highway called?
AAA.
AAA.
Yeah. And actually
AAA
there's-
runs all the way through.
Yep.
Is it dirt?
Well, actually
Portions.
there's a new mine up there that's got to be the best road in the Midwest. It's unbelievable because
is.
it's just beautiful.
Rolling hills.
Rolling hills, yeah.
Open, clear
Way
cut.
back, yeah. It's clear cut way back. Great for motorcycling or sports cars.
Sure. Fast.
Yeah.
Right.
And because say there's so much truck traffic up there that they had to pave the road. And I told guys because they'd have mountains of gravel. They're trying to keep that road in good shape. And I said they'll eventually pave that. And they said there's no way they'll pave that. And so they paved it, and they did an unbelievable job there. But mining, there is lots of money in mining. So
Yeah. Where do you see that going? That's interesting. You think mining will stick around up here?
well, I'm the fifth generation miner for iron ore. My great great grandpa was killed in 1873 in a mine actually right below Jasper Knob there.
How?
He was in a cave in probably.
Have you been underground?
Well, we were underground a couple weeks ago
Did
on a
you?
bike trip. I mean, it's just a little tunnel, but and there, when
Oh,
I
under-
when I
under
started
there.
mine, yeah, I mean, just a little tunnel.
Yeah,
eh?
yeah, and
Yeah.
the caving grounds.
Yeah, in the caving grounds,
Negaunee.
right.
See, that's a crazy feeling walking through that thing. You see
Yeah.
the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's about the size of a silver dollar, and then you walk quite a ways, and it opens right up.
Yeah, when I started, there was still a Mather B. That was a big underground mine up in
Yes.
Negaunee. That's where the Negaunee School is now, the high school.
They tore that up.
Yeah,
They tore all that up. You can almost see like where a mountain range once resided. It's completely carved
Yeah.
out.
yeah, that's the way the Tilden was when I started. Say it was a big hill of iron ore. Now it's a big pit. Eh?
Right. Open pit.
Yeah,
Open
yeah,
pit mining.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
what we have up here now. It's all open pit now, but
Do you think they'll shut all that down at some point?
I don't know. As long as they need steel, they gotta, because they still need virgin steel for some things. So, because I mean, they can reuse a lot of steel for some things, but some
Yeah.
things they still need the good
Brand new
stuff that's
stuff.
not all rusted out. And,
Right. Do they import steel or do they get it all from?
no, they import a lot of steel, which hurts
Import a
us because they're all subsidized by their government. Those companies or countries, I should say.
Sure. So we're getting it from overseas
Yeah.
in a lot of ways. Yeah. I don't know. Timber and iron ore, it leaves its mark on this land
Oh, for sure.
in
Yeah.
a big way. Like we see that. You think it's necessary?
Well, again, if you want furniture and newspapers and
Buildings?
yeah, it comes from wood, hey.
Sure. Sure.
And it provides people with work. Made a lot of people a lot of money, but the big guys,
Sure.
some of it trickles down to the workers, but
Yeah. And what's your responsibility? You see some guys with some pretty tough jobs, like laborers jobs.
Yeah, I'll say the mines, and it's dirty, and it's, there's probably, say I've been there for over 40 years, there's probably 10 guys that got killed at the mine since I've been there.
10 guys in how many years?
In 40 years,
40
40
years?
years I've been there, fell off stuff, had stuff fall on them.
Big stuff.
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
these are big pieces of equipment, hard to imagine.
yeah. Like the shovels are, well, the graders are the biggest ones they make. The kiln at the Tilden is the second biggest one in the world. I mean, it's, and because they take those pellets and they roll them.
Yeah.
And they look like kids' marbles, and then they bake them in a big oven. It's, it's just a long kiln. It's 2,200 degrees. I mean, they're red hot when they come out of there. So just so then they put them on an ore boat to ship them down and make steel out of them.
Sure.
So they got to be harder. They just, get crushed up.
Sure. And that's the whole concept, the Ore to Shore.
Exactly. Yeah, that's where it
Right.
got the name from.
Historic
Yeah.
mountain bike race.
Yeah.
And it really covers some ground that was like pretty like sacred,
Yeah.
right? It's like a lot of different people had traveled that same
Right.
stretch to do a certain thing.
Yeah. Say Nagani at one time, back 100 years ago was the highest paid per capita
Yeah.
in the state, just
Yeah.
because of the mines. I
Right.
mean, like the whole state till they got mechanized and stuff. It was mostly farming and stuff, which, as we know, that doesn't pay a whole lot. Which is, and I mean, there's kilns that we ride by. We were there today that they got pig iron for the Civil War from there, from up
Yeah.
here. So that's, the history here is just cool.
Super cool, but gritty nonetheless. Like, a lot of it's not that. You kind of see that, downtown Ishpeming, downtown Nagano. You see these old kind of like boarded up houses. You see Arch Street and Marquette. You see these big kind of mansion looking
Oh yeah,
places.
there was money there.
There's
Yeah.
some money. There's
Yeah.
some money at one point, and then you could see where it dropped off. Do you know a lot about that like recession, depression kind of thing where the mining died out? You said.
Yeah, well, say in the 30s, it was bad everywhere, eh? Some of these mines stayed up here because, for the war effort, hey,
Sure.
to make steel for the war, which was a good thing.
Sure.
But yeah, it was hard times like it was everywhere. But in those days, I mean, everybody had cows and chickens and, so they're a little more self-sufficient. And
Yeah.
then actually the mines in the old days were pretty seasonal. I mean, they'd run in the summertime and they wouldn't run in the wintertime a lot of times because it was just too hard. They'd shut them down in the winter and they'd start back up in the spring again.
Right.
So they'd have to have something to keep them going throughout the winter.
And you said like 5 generations deep in the UP.
Yep, been working at the mine.
Working
and,
at the
and
mine.
actually, my daughter worked there too, so she's the sixth, which is kind of cool.
Well, yeah.
She was a summer student, but
I'm just thinking like the generations for people to decide to stay here, especially in those conditions. Like you got a chicken, you got a cow, you got some vegetables planted, and you got to make it through 8 months of winter
with a bunch of kids.
with 6 kids. What kind of human being chooses that?
Well, so you gotta love it.
You gotta love it. And I mean, you love it. Even the kids that live here. I mean, the whole thing, the whole effort was start the cycle. What called you to do that? What called you get in to start the cycle?
Well, see, at first it was kind of delinquent kids, and I was lucky I didn't wasn't a delinquent. I had some, just lucky, I guess, luck of the draw.
You weren't- what?
Because it's easy to get to be a whatever, get in trouble, hey.
Yeah.
And then once you get in trouble, then then it just multiplies, and then you have a bad life, eh? And now we don't have so much kids that were, like troubled issues, but more. And it's just a good program. Some of those kids they don't have a lot, which is nice. If they do the thing, they provide them with camelbacks and helmets and provide them with a bike if they go through the whole system and then finish up the Ore to Shore, which is then they have an accomplishment. And saying mountain biking is something you can do for your whole entire life instead of sitting under the streetlight smoking cigarettes, which that's the other option for some of these guys.
Definitely. You see it too.
Yeah.
How'd you first get involved? How'd you like decide?
Just some of my friends were doing it, so I thought that would sound like a good program. And I probably started with I don't know if I started with summer biking or winter biking, because winter biking, a lot of people, they didn't have a lot of adults that had winter bikes. And one of the sports shops, Sports Rack, there gave their rental fleet, so they'd have 8 or 10 bikes they'd rent throughout the winter. They'd let the kids use them on Thursday nights, which was pretty nice. That's where I usually do my business between, there's a couple of shops in town that I usually go to for stuff. And so that was nice, and they say these kids just need a positive role model, eh?
Right. Right. and it's something to see them, step on a bike in the beginning of the season. I mean, one of the kids you work with didn't know how to ride a bike.
Yeah, that
Beginning of
was
the season, you were pushing them. You know what I mean? Holding handlebars.
that was, what an accomplishment when he actually could ride a bike. He
He
said,
rode the order shore. He
yeah,
rode 10 miles.
yeah, he did awesome.
Like that's miraculous. Part of me wonders if this stuff happens other places. You know what I mean? It's just
I
so
don't know that it does.
maybe we don't hear about it, or maybe it's just something
Yeah, and
that's
again, that's one of the other bike shops that's great. He made arrangements to get all these bikes for these kids.
yeah,
Which is
yeah,
through Trek. I mean, it's awesome, and his
right,
wife's super involved in it.
right.
She's one of the big pushes.
Quick Stop,
Yeah,
Sports Rec, all
yeah,
of them.
those guys are awesome. Yeah, so
Yeah,
we're very lucky.
yeah. And Quick's he's super fortunate. You know,
Yeah, see my buddy there. Yeah, he was 14 years old, never rode a bike. He rode a bike with training wheels. So I said, I was going with him, and he said, I can't ride a bike.
okay,
You're in a cycle program and you can't ride a bike. So I said, oh, okay. Like I say, I held onto his handlebars, got him going, and probably in 45 minutes or an hour, I had him ride. And then he rode over to his mom, and she started crying. She said, he couldn't ride a bike before.
wow.
Yeah, unbelievable.
And of all people, you tend to ride with like the harder.
Well,
Of all people, Paul Waters over there pushing the kid on his bike. You know,
I had to get him going.
you're the kind of you're kind of the Black Diamond crowd. Let's get the fast kids in gear and getting kids kind of out of their comfort zone in a way. It was cool to see you kind of take a step back and be like, hey, I'm take it slow.
Yeah, my buddy Jake was supposed to go with him, and he had to work that night. And say Jake he is the toughest guy I know, bar none. He's gonna do this 200-mile Margie Giesick on a single speed fat bike with all his gear because he just got back from bike camping in Colorado. I said, Jake, you can take your bike gear off there? No, why would I do that? Yeah, why would I take like 15 pounds off my bike?
What kind of shoes is he wearing, Paul?
Oh, and yeah, then he wears Crocs to boot. I mean, he's just an animal. He's just unbelievable.
Where do these people come from?
Oh, he's from Gwyn, downtown Gwyn. Actually out in Scandia, but
It's something because these people they didn't have to have these big stories to tell. It's like they just are. They just do it. Like if we weren't on a podcast right now, it would be just Paul. It's just the way you are. You know what I mean? It's not this big image. You know what I mean?
yeah, say Jake, he's a cool guy. Well, last weekend we went and got staging Friday night, and then we roofed his house on Saturday, and then we went biking Sunday. So and then actually I went over to and pick up my ladder and some of the stuff I had over there. And, yeah, and he was working on that, and he's going to go mark trails. So
Right. How do you prep for something like this? How do you prep for the Margie?
I don't know. Say it's just we'll see if I prep for this year, but you just don't quit. I mean, you gotta, because I went last year with my buddy I usually ride with. He just bought a BRBO, so he was working on that all summer, so he didn't have time to do it, whatever. So I went with some other guys that had never finished it. I mean, young guys, excellent riders. I mean, super riders. They just never finished. I said, well, stay with me and we'll get it, but you got to just enjoy all of it because there's times when it just sucks. I mean, it's just rotten. But so stop at all the spots, meet somebody. Jake's girlfriend Kate, she does start to cycle with us also, and she's going to do it this year for the first time, the 100. And I told her, I said, make sure when you stop at all stops and meet somebody. Go up and introduce yourself. So last year I met a guy from Australia and two guys from England. So they come from all over the world. I mean, all over the country, but yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Dang. See, I didn't realize all that. It's going to be a big weekend. This is next weekend.
Yep, next Saturday. So it'd be cool.
Boy. So, do you feel ready?
I hope so. We'll see.
You've done it 4 times.
Yeah.
So, do you feel ready?
Yeah. I'd say, and I'm marking these trails and I'm thinking, I don't even remember doing this stuff,
Right.
because you just block the bad stuff out and, just enjoy the good stuff.
Right. It must take a certain kind of mentality on a race day.
And it does, you get, that, I mean, you take off and you think, oh, I'm going to go slow. And, you see everybody going. I mean, because right away you're going down some big hills. I mean, long, fast. I mean, everybody's hooting and hollering and you're, going down fast, taking jumps.
Yeah.
You're just all ramped up, eh?
Yeah. And so for this 100, the race that you're doing, the standard, I'd say the 100's pretty much the standard race.
Yeah,
The 200, the 50 just kind of give people options.
yeah. I'll say that the 200's the first year for that this year,
And
just to
so
make it tougher.
for those who need it to
Oh,
be tougher.
yeah.
So the Margie, just explain, where do we start? Where do we finish? You start in Marquette?
For the 200, you start at Noki headquarters.
So
It's
Forestville?
Forestville, yeah, big area.
Okay.
Say pretty rocky, pretty hilly.
Okay.
That's where they have the cross country stuff in Marquette. They have a big headquarters, their big pole barn with their grooming equipment. Say go there, do some Harlow stuff, not up over the big hill where we usually ride, and then just start weaving yourself through, go underneath the highway, US 41, which is kind of cool. You go through a big cement, say it's just like a
Sure,
drainage ditch,
sure.
which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
People kind of get a kick out of that. Take a bunch of trails. I mean, there's just trails scattered all over. You say we're just lucky to have all these trails and all this terrain available to
connect
us.
it, right?
Yeah, it all connects up, obviously. Very little. I mean, hardly any blacktop. Go and do a bunch of stuff around the South Trails, which is near Marquette Mountain Ski Hill. Do a bunch of stuff on the ski hill itself. And there's a big spot there for people to take a little break and get some food and stuff, which is nice. I mean, it's not supposed to have anybody supporting you, but we have there's lots of people that support, which is, you can't have a race like this without support.
Takes all day.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You take off. What time for the 100? What time are you taking off?
I think it's like 7:30.
7 in the morning.
Yeah.
You need to make it from North Trails to Harlow, and then back to South Trails, and then from South Trails to Negaunee.
Correct.
Negaunee to Ishpeming.
And then back to Negaunee again. So
And
you
then-
hit Negaunee. When you hit Negaunee the first time, you have 40 miles of the hardest trails to come.
They run you from Marquette to Ishpeming. It's almost like it's on purpose.
Yeah.
And it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
almost like Danny gets this sick, twisted like thrill out of making these trails that you're gonna finish on
Well,
the
see,
worst.
Every year it gets hard. Let's say the first year there was some of the local guys, some of our buddies got belt buckles. Since then, well, one guy, Brent, got
Gone.
one.
Yeah,
but
Brent
he's a
Connes.
pro from out in Utah. I mean, so
Sure.
he's not a local guy.
Yeah.
And he got one last year. But
Oh,
he's
yeah.
the only one that's got a Marquette address.
He
Marquette
lives in
County address.
Negaunee,
Yeah, yeah.
so he's around.
He's a
and
Marquette County guy.
He's part of the the
Yeah.
community here.
Yeah, and he's a great guy, and he rides with us lots and say he's not get out of my way. Not he's just a cool guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you,
great
do you
guy.
find that when guys come out here try to race these trails, they get kind of ignorant?
Not really, because say those guys, they get humbled pretty quick.
Okay.
They realize that you can walk as fast as you can ride the trails. I mean, just about. So
Well, for 12, 15 hours, when do you plan on finishing? You start at
we're usually-
7:30 in the
We're
morning.
usually 20 hours.
20 hours.
Because say we take breaks in between it and say you got to enjoy it. You
Yeah.
got to say go meet people and
Yeah.
yeah. If you think you're going to just hammer through and get done, you'll be done, but you won't finish
You
the
won't
race.
finish.
Yeah.
That's right. So this is totally different, but bike packing. Is this kind of a
Oh.
recent discovery?
Yeah,
or-
we haven't done that a lot. I say, as you know, everybody can backpack, but yeah, we've been doing that. I mean, for years, people go on road bikes and stuff, which is kind of dangerous, especially with cell phones and, so that doesn't appeal to me at all. Even road biking doesn't, but this bike camp, we just go on back roads, either true tracks or gravel roads. And, we go 3 or 4 times a year with that. So you got all your gear on your bike. So you're kind of getting self-sufficient, which is cool.
Definitely. And
Yeah.
you're covering some serious ground.
Yeah, we go 60, 70 miles a day, pretty
Right.
much. And it's slow going, but
For how many days?
we usually go for 3 or 4 or 5.
3-4 days out. You got food stops in between.
Yeah,
so
a
you
lot of
don't
times
have to
there's food
carry
stops,
Everything.
a few beer stops.
A few? No, it sounds like a good time.
Yeah, well, it's a great time. And there's always going to be 100 people coming. There's always 30 that go,
Yeah.
And some people jump in and out because some people, I mean, usually we start on a Thursday or Friday, and some people got to work those days, and then some people have to work the weekend. So usually a guy will come out, say for whatever, Friday night, and then somebody will jump in that car and go back to Marquette to work for the weekend, which works out good. I'm lucky enough, so I usually get all the time off. My daughter's gone and married now, finally. She got married last month, which is good.
Congratulations.
So thank you. So and my wife's good about it. Like I say, she's actually out in Maine right now on a bike trip. They're coming back tonight. She'll be home tomorrow. So I mean, so she does that too, and so she's does biking with a bunch of her friends, which is nice. And then we get together and ride together with couples and stuff. So it's fun.
Right. Life is good.
Yeah, life is great. But yeah, bike camping. So you're always riding with somebody, a different person. So you got a different conversation going. So it's just interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously they're making stuff to rig these bikes up.
Oh
They
yeah.
got some really really nice equipment as far as strapping things up.
Yeah.
And so do you think this is going on all over the country, all over the world?
I don't know. I hope so, but see, there's still a lot of people. I mean, you still see them go by on a highway with their panniers on them and doing road rides and say that doesn't appeal to me at all. I mean, you got your head down and say we're out in the woods. Out in the
Right.
woods is great.
Right. Yeah, and it's an interesting terrain too. Something that I find to be really comforting here. You got black bears out there. You hear about mountain lion. You ever seen a mountain lion in the UP?
I've seen them, but they're just so elusive that
Out here in the UP,
yeah,
you seen them?
yeah, I've seen them up in Republic and see that Silver Lake. I've seen
How
them there go
close?
across. Well, I saw that
You just driving?
just driving in a car.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, not out. No, yeah, even like even if there was a big old barn cat and got on your back, they could kill you. I mean, a 30-pound big old one that's been wild for its whole
Sure.
time. And there are quite a few bobcats up here. Again, but you don't see a lot of them. I mean,
I
guys trap them and they'll get them in traps, but they just sit up in a tree and they're just quiet, eh? Then they just pounce down on whatever, on their prey.
Yeah, but it's interesting that you really don't have to walk around out here. I mean, you can be in some pretty desolate locations where if you needed some real help, chances are you're not going to get
Oh
it
yeah, there's no cell service. A lot of spots we go.
with some confidence that
Yeah.
you're not going to die, right? Like there's some spots in the country and especially up near Canada where you run into some wildlife that's going to really, wreck you.
Yeah, you're probably going to fall off your bike more than you're going to have to. I mean, a deer. I mean, not a deer knock you off your bike. They could,
Sure.
but and then we have moose up here. They're just huge, eh?
Yeah.
And but they don't usually interact with humans. They're pretty say they just want to do their own thing.
Yeah.
And bears are the same thing. They usually run away because I mean we've seen them again in a car, eh? I mean I've seen them out when I've been out in the woods too, but they'll run 35 miles an hour. So you're not going to outrun them. I mean it's a shorter burst, but actually Danny said he saw a big bear by Lake Angeline, which is on the track.
Yeah.
He said, and it was big. He said it took off. He said you could just see it, a fat going, and it was just pounding through trees.
And you never had any like dangerous encounters with wildlife or nothing like that?
No, see, I didn't hit two deer on a motorcycle.
That's the worst.
Yeah.
That's not too bad.
Say one time I was coming back and I was by Republic and it dark again, obviously, and they just paved the road so it was as black as it's gonna get, and they just had those little diamonds on there because they hadn't even put the center lines on yet.
Right.
And it was something ahead of me, and say I'm coming up, whatever, 60 miles an hour, 65 miles an hour, and it was like a shadow, and I knew something was wrong, so I started slowing down. Then all of a sudden, he turned his head, and it was a bear, but he was the same exact color as the road, so there was no
Right.
contrast at all. Till he turned his head, and then you could see his eyes lit up, eh? Then I slowed down, because I mean, if you hit one of those, you just because they're, I
You're
mean, almost
going
round.
over.
Yeah, I'd
It's
go
like hitting a
down,
wall.
and you just roll them because they got short legs and a big fat body, eh? So he'd have just rolled, and they're all fat on the outside, and they're just tough.
Yeah.
So yeah, then he'd be mad. Then he'd probably would take care of you, but
Yeah.
that wouldn't have been good.
Definitely. And you never really, I mean, falling off your bike. You never experienced any. You're just like Iron Man.
Oh, I fall off my bike lots, motorcycles and pedal bikes.
Sure, but you don't have any like I just hear a lot of old guys talk about back pain and talk about like
Oh,
I'm getting fat and it's hard and things like that.
well, I broke my back probably, I don't know, 30 or 35 years ago. Then I
You-
broke ribs and I got a broken hand, and
And you just keep moving through it. Like how
Yeah.
do you take care of that?
yeah, I just lucky, knock on wood, saved my back. It never really bothered me even, hey.
Sure.
And say ribs bothered me. You don't want to sneeze, for
or
sure.
laugh,
Yeah,
right?
or laugh. Yeah, laugh and yeah. But I mean, if you just feel a sneeze coming, you just got to hold yourself because that's not good. I say I broke my hand actually a couple of years ago, right before the Margie. So I still wear just work gloves because I couldn't get a regular biking glove on. So now
Right.
everybody teases me about my big just work gloves. But say I got used to just wearing them because I couldn't get a glove on my hand. It was so swelled up.
Yeah.
But my knees get kind of sore. So that year my knees did get sore because my hand was pounding so bad. So that made it easier. That
But
was
you
that
don't-
hot year.
Do you go see Doctor Paul?
Not too much. I usually go for a yearly physical, but
Sure.
again, knock on wood, I don't really have any ailments, so been lucky.
What do you attribute that to?
I try to stay in good shape. I say I go to the gym, say try to get there 3 days a week and bike 3 or 4 days a week and, do a lot of walking and
What do you
I eat a lot.
eat? What do
Yeah.
you eat?
Yeah. And my wife, she monitors my diet, which is good. I say usually at work I'll eat a bowl of oatmeal and then I'll eat leftovers, but she gives a lot of salads, lots of fruits.
So healthy
She's a
food.
good cook, yeah.
Yeah. So you're eating fresh food.
Yeah. She's a good cook. I'm a good eater. She couldn't ask for a better husband.
That's all it takes.
Yeah. No, so she monitors my diet for me, which is good.
Right. So a healthy diet. You're exercising.
Probably good
You go to
genetics.
church every Sunday.
Church every
You're
Sunday,
not a
yeah.
sinner.
No, well,
Tell them about church, Paul. We don't know. We don't know who's listening. Well, tell them about church.
yeah, we have quite a few years ago, one of our buddies that ended up dying on the trail, which was tragic, but cool guy, Carol Jackson was the guy's name. Him and I got together because, well, we were riding on Wednesday nights, and then we'd ride usually a couple other days during the week, and I said, we should start getting a church ride on Sunday morning. So he thought that'd be a great idea. So there was a few of us started doing that, and then it got bigger. And I mean, there's times when there's 50, 60 people that come for church ride. It's kind of notorious around the area. I mean, we do it year round. I mean, do it in wintertime with snow biking.
Yeah.
A couple of our buddies, Jan, one of our buddies from Canada, he's got a bike shop up in Sioux, Canada up there, and he took third in the Margie, I think, the first year. So obviously a good rider. He was on a Canadian national team. He'll come down and do church with us, which
Yeah.
is pretty cool.
Yeah. And so is that something you started? You started with another guy?
Yeah, say Carol Jackson, I pretty much started that one. He'll say it was kind of
Okay.
my idea.
Okay.
And say, and Danny, who comes up, and he's the big push on the trails. He's say we're lucky to have him. He usually comes. Glenn Lurley, one of our other buddies. Glenn usually, very seldom misses. Cameron, mean there's probably 6 or 8 core guys that are
Yeah.
pretty much you can count on them. But then say that just sometimes it snowballs, and let's say right before the Orta Shore in the summertime, a lot of people come up, and
Right.
they know about it, so they'll
Right.
come.
And you guys put on a nice little service there, or
Yeah, we have a little service. Then we have a lot of Christ shed for thee. We go to the Rainbow Bar for 350 Bloody Marys. It should be probably $20 anywhere else, so that's kind of cool. And it's just fun again, pretty social.
yeah.
Yeah, Wednesday nights we try to have we try to get smaller groups. Sometimes 10 or less would be optimal, but that doesn't always happen. But it's just more fun with a smaller group. Then we can kind of base yourself on that. Because say we got some of the trails here we have here are just phenomenal.
Right.
And not everybody likes to ride all the trails. Like say we got a Danger Trail that you've been on, and it's a little bit of distance to get there. It's on the north side of the highway, and I mean that trail is just phenomenal. I mean it's unbelievable.
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. And, you know, I think the hard stuff does keep the right people at distance.
Right.
You know, people tend to keep their distance from things that are kind of over their head. And
Because I don't want to go out there with anybody and get hurt. I mean, and if you got to walk something till you get a look at it a few times, because sometimes you have to see something a few times, then you get the nerve or courage or whatever ability to try and ride it. Because somebody gets hurt out there, now we got to deal with it. Get your bike back, get them back. So you don't want that either, eh?
no, and that could be a big deal with the city. Who kind
Yeah,
of
like ambulance aren't going to be able to come
as
out there
far
and
as
get you.
Danny, I mean, does Danny have a license? Does it is this there's always weird things going on with insurance. I heard that, Marquette had this huge bike park at one point, and at some time, like an insurance claim got filed, and they kind of had to shut it down.
Oh, and that's always a big, saying we have the mine here, and they own a lot of property, but they turned a lot of that property over to the city of Ishpeming and City and Ghani, and those guys do have a liability policy, in case
Okay.
something happens in the town. So hopefully they're covered, but say they could sue I mean, the way lawyers are, I'm saying I had a bar for, well, my wife did. I don't want to get in trouble for saying I had anything, but,
Yeah.
but, people get so happy, and you don't know if juries are going to award money or not. If you got a lawyer, who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah.
They could sue everybody on the ride that, well, you took me on that ride. It's your fault I fell, because nobody's responsible for themselves anymore. And but that's just reality.
Well, that's just some old school kind of values. Right.
Right. Well, you should have went down that hill. Well, I saw you go down. It looked easy. Well,
Did you see a lot of this going on? A lot of
and
this.
knock on wood, we haven't had any issues yet, eh? But it only takes one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we got a pretty good thing going.
Yeah. And people should know, you know, again, pick your, well, and usually right away we go up, you know, whatever, because right away there's tough stuff just about
Right.
out of the parking lot.
Right.
If you can't make that, you know, you might want to drop back because it's not going to get any easier.
Yeah, and I can appreciate the old school values, like the morals, right? That come from like passed down from generations. Like it's more so wisdom than it is like this book knowledge. But you know, you don't see the age groups, you know, 60, 70-year old guys and women hanging out with younger people nowadays. Yeah, how do you find that connection with, I mean, I'm 23 years old. How do you find these connections with different people at different age groups?
Well, I'll say it's fun hanging around with younger guys. They got more energy, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And how do you stay like you know, I just suppose there's people that age group that kind of look down, you know what I mean? Kind of look down on the younger generations and kind of say, "Oh, they don't know anything about anything," and
Well,
all that.
when I look in a mirror, I don't realize how old I am, because I still think I'm probably like 30 or
Yeah.
until I look in the mirror and say, "Who the heck is that old guy?" But so just, you know, just stay young. Hey, try to stay young as long as possible. Have some fun.
Right. Right. I mean, it sounds like you got it, man.
Yeah, see, I got a good life. I don't have no complaints. A few regrets, obviously, but yeah, no, my life's
Few
good.
regrets. What?
Well, when I was younger,
Like what?
yeah, just whatever. Could have, should have. But yeah, see, I got a good wife, good daughter. You know,
Just
everybody's
whatever.
healthy at my house, so life is good.
Life is good. Well, man, I think that's a great place to leave off, and life is good.
Yeah, it is. Well, thanks for having me.
No problem. It was fun. Until next time, guys. Ride the waves, dude.